Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Today is Thursday, February 12th. How's it going? My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome if you're new here. We just practice vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. No libraries, no frameworks, not because they're not important, but I just think that the basics, vanilla, is also important. So that is what I choose to emphasize here. Go Elmo is here. Hello, Malik Robinson. Malik started his first web development internship this week. He's been giving me micro updates via DM, which has been exciting. I wasn't sure if you were even going to be here. I don't know. I guess I don't know what your working time or hours are. Or maybe this is like your clandestine. Yeah, maybe this is like we have to keep it quiet so you don't get in trouble. I don't want to get you in trouble, but obviously I'm happy that you're here. So, I needed an extra day off this week because I just did. If you have spent any time here at all, I have a dog. Her name is Heidi. I love her. We are codependent. She was sick last week. She had something called pancreatitis. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about what exactly that means when a dog has that. If you want to Google it, you can. But trust me, she was very ill. She was not okay. So there's that. And I am still recovering and she is still recovering. It was very dramatic and it included a middle of the night trip to the emergency vet that lasted for about 3 hours and was quite expensive. But we have come out better on the other side. But I've just needed extra time this week to like recover. I'm weak. I don't bounce back from things as well as I used to. So, and Melissa's department meeting at 1 o'clock, so we'll leave out early. Totally fair. So I think it's very exciting that you're going to a department meeting. I'm so proud of you, Malik. I'm very happy for you. So I hope this is a great experience for him. So what are we working on today? Well, we are continuing to work on this build that we're doing called Scenic. And this is something that I built back in 2014 when I was a new developer. And forgive me if you already know this. This is for the people who maybe are just joining for the first time, which, by the way, if you're new here, do me a favor and like the video. I would appreciate it so much. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because that is how it helps the algorithm. Helps push this video and content like this out to more people who might be interested in vanilla front-end development. And I would just appreciate it so much. Also, I am trying to grow my Instagram following. I've been on Instagram since 2012 and I have about 260 or so subscribers. I've never put much effort into growing an audience on Instagram, but a couple builds ago, it was a couple of months ago, it was maybe October or November, I did 2 Instagram builds. One where we what did we do? We did a vanilla Reels. So we mimicked the behavior of Reels, and then we also did we built out what the profile looks like. And I think the profile has actually changed a little bit since then, but it was all vanilla and we didn't even need any JavaScript for the profile part. It was just HTML and vanilla CSS. I had so much fun, and I have been a very casual Instagram user for the last, 14 years. But doing the Reels build kind of they sucked me back in. So I would say I'm like a fairly regular doom scroller at this point, and I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It's a fun way to waste time. And I'm learning a lot about social media, which I didn't grow up with social media. So I'm like, it feels weird to say I'm learning about social media. The culture of social media, I just find so interesting. And I'm not on TikTok. I feel like TikTok is very Gen Z, and people encourage me to get on TikTok because the discovery is so good, and I'm not there yet. I'm Gen X, and I feel like Instagram Reels is very millennial Gen X. And I don't know, I feel more comfortable there. I like it. So that's where you will find me. I've attempted to do more dev related content on Instagram. There just isn't a big audience for that. What I've learned through Reels is that it's better to have content that is sort of lifestyle adjacent, is how I think of it. I don't know. I like it. So anyways, if you want to follow me on Instagram, that would be cool. That's also a good place to reach out to me if you want to chat with me. A couple of observations about the types of messages, the DMs I get on Instagram. One type of message that I get is just hi. That's it. Hi. I'm not really sure how to respond to that. I presumably, if you're reaching out, you have something to say. So if the only message I get from you is hi, I don't know if I'm really going to engage with that because I'm not sure what it is that you want or you're asking for. The other kind of message that I get on Instagram is like kind of explicit, if I'm being honest, and I'm not really going to engage with that either. So just FYI, those are the two things. They're not the most, but they take up a significant amount of space in my DMs. So if you're inclined to do either of those two things, I may not engage with you on that. But for anything else, you want to chat about front end, you want to chat about something cooking, I don't know, whatever. A DM on Instagram is the best place to get a hold of me. So I don't know. I find the culture of, I just think the culture of social media is so interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't have more to say about it than that. So, okay, well, this is what we're working on. It's called Scenic. This is something that I built back in 2014. And we've pretty much built it out, all 4 pages. I do have the GitHub repository and the GitHub pages link down in the description if you want to check it out. Everything that I do is open source. You are free to fork it, use it for anything you want. I have an MIT license on everything. So personal, commercial, whatever, knock yourself out. This is my way of giving back to the front end development community. Oh, I do want to fix that. So we put some animations on page load, and I noticed I don't exactly like how this is behaving, and I know what's happening. It's because there's a figure element around this image, and the figure element has overflow hidden, but we animated the image. So how it's supposed to look is like this. Yeah, where the whole thing slides up. So we'll fix that. We also need to wire up our social sharing links. I don't think that we're going to get to this today. I mean, maybe we will. One moment. And Burka is here. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Burka, welcome. We're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. I don't know how far we're going to get on these sharing buttons. I sort of want to set aside and like dedicate a day to that. So I'm kind of thinking that we should dedicate Saturday this weekend to the sharing buttons, and then Sunday could be our deployment day. What I would like to do today is implement, well, I have a couple things that I want to do to this section, but I would like to implement a parallax background, an all CSS parallax background. And I did a little bit of research ahead of time And I think this is something that we can do with all CSS. So we're going to try it. We're going to, in order to do it, we're going to sort of implement, there's two types of parallax. There's like a fake parallax and a real parallax. A real parallax is where the foreground and the background scroll at different speeds. That's what a parallax is. A fake parallax is where the background is fixed and you scroll over top of a fixed background. So structurally, we're going to implement the fake parallax first, just so I can show you what that looks like, because I used to do that all the time. Truth be told, I've never done a real legitimate parallax before. Even with jQuery or JavaScript, which it was very popular back in the day with jQuery, just never got around to learning how to implement it. So we're going to figure it out today. And I think that there is an all CSS solution. I have a couple. There's another thing, though, that I want to do here first to these cards. Well, let's look at how these look on mobile, because I feel like the text is a little too small on mobile. So go here. It's not a good. A screen, Angela. Okay. I feel like this text is just a little too, I don't know. It feels too small to me for mobile. And I know that we're clamping that text. So I think we need to make some adjustments. I would also like, so if we have this blog page, what is it that links to the blog items? I think it would be these things, right? So, and I think that we need to make sure that our styles support a title that would wrap to a second or third line. And I just think that proportionally, we need to make sure that the text itself looks proportional or consistent from desktop to mobile. So the two things: make sure that the text can wrap and still looks good. Make sure that it looks proportional from desktop to mobile. I also am going to do a thing that I really don't like doing, that every single leadership team I've ever had has asked me to do, which is wrapping an anchor element around the entire item. There's nothing wrong with that. You can, anchor elements are display inline. You can change it to display block. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do want to do that in this case. Let's also update these images, because we do have unique images, and we'll fill in the alt text. Let's make it so when you hover on the entire card, the entire thing is basically hot and will link to the blog. But also let's do a little like zoom transition to the image, and also make sure that there's a hover focus active for the text. So let's build this out a little bit more. Let's make this be a little more robust. Yeah, and then work on a parallax today. That's really what I want to do today, and then I will feel good about this home page. I will feel like this home page, a home page is supposed to look good, right? Because I don't assume that everybody's going to click through every page on a site. So we want to make sure that the home page looks good. Now, that doesn't mean that every person who comes to your site comes through the home page, because if you have good search engine optimization and you're getting indexed in Google, people will come through your inner pages. So we want the inner pages to look good too, but a lot of people, I don't know, half your traffic is going to come in through the home page, and we do want that to look good too. And I think it looks a little boring. Let's zhuzh it up a little bit. So let's start with these cards. So here we are on the home page. Let's open up our CSS. And then, and everything else is done, right? Our footer's done, our header's done, our mobile styles are pretty much all done. We're just making some little improvements. So here are the articles. First of all, let's get our images in here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's just choose these images. And then we'll go in, we're also going to fill in our placeholder text. Oops. Oh, hang on. There we go. I love it. Okay, so what is this? The first image is abandoned train tracks. You don't have to write a novel, but you do have to describe what's going on. So this is abandoned, oh, okay. Old. I can't spell. Old train tracks with leading to a tunnel and lots of greenery. There we go. Okay, what's the next one? This is, looks like the San Diego Pier on La Jolla. That's what that looks like, but I have no idea what it is. This is pier on a beach at sunset. Okay. And this is waves on a rocky cliff. Blue water waves on a rocky cliff. The whole point of alt text is for people who are using a screen reader to understand what these images might be. This is the beach at La Jolla, because I think I specifically looked for that. So this is the beach at La Jolla. What my favorite, I've not been to very many beaches, but the beach at La Jolla, if you're ever in Southern California, in San Diego, go there. There are lots and lots of beaches. La Jolla is, I think, one of the most beautiful places in this entire country. I love it. So the beach at La Jolla. La Jolla in San Diego. I lived in San Diego for 2 years. It's a beautiful city. So this is a quiet road. A quiet road in the fall sunshine. And what is this? Lilacs in a field. How about that? In a garden. Lilacs in a garden. Okay, there we go. We have alt text now. So now let's wrap these. I'm going to select all of these. I'll say anchor. And these would go to the blog, just like that. They're all going to point to the same blog page because it's a template. We don't have separate blogs, so, but they need to go someplace. And then we'll take this. Okay, and now everything is wrapped in an anchor element, and you can see here that this text is getting those styles now. However, and Chrome sometimes will account for this, but I think It's our job as developers to make sure that the display property is working correctly. So Chrome is, even though this is where's our default display? We're not even seeing a user agent style sheet. We're seeing border box, box sizing border box. So anchor elements by default are display inline. And Chrome kind of makes up for this, but we're going to go ahead and just make it display block. So this is going to be the, do we want to give these a class? We could just say, just give them a class, Angela. We'll call this the article link. Okay, so I think this is, oops. Here's our grid right here. Here's our article. So I'm going to say this is the article link. I'm going to say display block. So we're not going to see a huge change. I feel like this is relatively new that Chrome started to kind of account for this. When you wrap an inline element, like an anchor element, around a block level element, I think it's best practice to make sure that you're still changing the display property. That's just me. So, but I've also experienced layout issues by not doing that in the past. So, and then the hover active focus, we're already getting that for these right here. So anytime our cursor enters this area, it's triggering this. So that's good. I'm completely fine with that. All we need to do is change the font size and make sure that this can wrap. Let's go ahead and implement trigger that when you hover on the anchor element, we trigger a zoom of the image. So that would be article link focus, focus, and then trigger the image. And then that would be hover active, which means, let's move this down. Let's move it right here. We'll put it after. So we want this to be a transform scale, and we're going to say 1, which is like its natural state. Maybe it would be better to do this. And then we'll transform scale 1.1. And then let's make sure that there's a transition. We're going to transition the transform 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. There. So the other thing that's happening here is we want to make sure that we are doing an overflow hidden on the figure. There. Now, can you see that it's not overflowing there? And we already had overflow hidden on the article because of the border radius. That's why you didn't see it up there. So if we take these off, you'll see how it looks there. That's what we're trying to cover up. So we're overflow hidden. Honestly, do we need it? Yeah, we do. Do we need it on the article? Yeah, we do need it on the article for that border radius. That's fine. There we go. So now the whole thing is linkable. Bosses, leadership teams love that. I don't know why people love that so much. It's not my favorite thing to do. Although I just did it, didn't I? Which I guess means that it makes sense. Okay, let's make sure that this can wrap and look okay, because we need to make sure that that's going to be okay for a production website with real text. So lorem, maybe this has 9 words. That can have 3. Maybe this has 5 words. Maybe this has 6 words. Oof, that's slow. Yeah, so we have to account for this. Okay, what's the other thing that we need to do here? We need to make sure that the container because the grid is controlling the article, the article link, not the article. Which means we're going to want to move the border radius and the border and the overflow to the article link. Because the grid items before the anchor element were the article, but now it's the anchor element. And if we want all of those to be equal, we have to move those. Honestly, all of these things can just go to that upper level. There we go. So now you can see why it's important to do this kind of testing, especially for blog posts, especially for content that you're going to be turning over and is going to get real data. So we just need to adjust this. So right now, our font size is 2 rems on desktop. Maybe it needs to be like 1.25. Or 1.5. And then this could be 2. Okay, so I like this line 432. So I'm going to change this to 1.5 and I'm going to change this to 2. And then we have a lot of padding, so let's just change that padding to 1 rem. I think that's going to tighten it up. I think we need a little more padding on the bottom. Yeah. I'm going to take off this last word here. I'm going to take off that last word. And then I'm going to tell the content creators to limit their titles to 8 words. And then you just got to turn it over and let them figure it out what looks good. But I think that that looks a lot better. Yeah, that looks great. I'm good with that. And Malie says, I was invited to go to their Figma files and I saw the redesign. From the quick glance I saw, I think I will learn a lot and improve my design skills during the internship. Hopefully I will get some tasks soon. Yes, you need tasks. Bring on the tasks. Coding with Moen. Hello, welcome. Glad to have you. You need tasks. This is, I'm convinced, I mean, the last week or so has just been so exhausting for me, and like dealing with this dog and just feeling overwhelmed. And yesterday I was like, Angela, you need a task. Complete a task, and I promise you, you will feel better. And I was right. I completed a task. I completed several tasks, and I did feel better. So, tasks, they are the lifeblood. Okay, let's do something else here. This did kind of stand out to me before as well. I don't want there to be, let's look up here in the hero. Let's adjust the padding for the main section. I feel like we've talked about this a couple of times. I think the section right here, we do need a media query for the section. So it's just one rem all the way around. Let's try it and see what happens. So here's our section. I'll put a media query here. Why do I feel like maybe I did this once before and took it off? I don't remember. So let's do 1024. And that's okay. You can change it. You can change it back if you want to, right? No big whoop. Yeah, I like that better. Just keeps it a little tighter up there. Oh yeah, I like that a lot better. Now this blue box lines up with what's happening beneath it. So there's iPhone SE. Let's go 14 Max. I actually think that this needs a little more line height, and it could just be bigger. The text in general could just be bigger on mobile for these H3s. Let's keep playing with this. So I always change the line height for my headings to 1.25. Maybe it needs to be, there we go. That looks a little better. I think it's because I have kind of a thick line here for the border. And then maybe on mobile, instead of 1, it could just be like 1.1. Just a little extra. Yeah. Change that to 1.1. And here's our headings. Change this to 1.5. I love it. Okay, let's start working on Parallax. So I'm gonna build a new section here. So here's our section grid. I'm going to build a new section here. Do section, class of section. And I have to think about the best way to do this. In the past, I would just do a background image, but I don't really like doing background images. So we'll do a figure with the class of figure. We'll do an image. I'm going to put in just our hero. Placeholder text. And then we need to have something over top. So this will we'll give this an aspect ratio, and then this will be fixed in the background. And then we'll do a div with a class of, and let's give this also Parallax. We'll give that a class, and then we'll say Parallax content. And then we'll give this an H2 secondary heading. And we'll just call this the Parallax header till we think of something better. And then we'll give this a little lorem ipsum, and then let's do we'll just do a call to action, and we'll make a button. So call this call to action. All right. So we'll style the outer container first. And again, we're doing the fake parallax first. Okay, so there's the grid. I'm going to put this right here. Parallax. I'm going to say width 100%, height auto, aspect ratio. I don't want it to be that big, so I'm going to say 16 to that's pretty big. Parallax figure. We're going to say position fixed. I guess inset 0. Z index -1. There we go. You can kind of already see it taking shape there. So here's our section right here. So I think that this I'm going to do width 100%, height 100%, object fit, cover. Why can't I get you behind there? I feel like this isn't working because I need to make it a background image on the section. It's not going to work to just put it in the background unless I do it up here on the body someplace. It's just not how it works. I'm not going to be able to get it behind there, so I have to put it up here, which I don't love doing because I like the SEO value. It's accessible. It's better for accessibility to make sure that you have images with alt text. But also, not every image adds to the value of the page. And it's okay to have images on the page where you omit the alt text, which tells the screen reader, hey, like, don't read this image out. It's there. You don't need to read this out. It's not necessary. And that's very common with hero images. It makes it harder to deal with. When you put images in as background images, though, you do lose some SEO value, but also there are trade-offs for the effects that you want. And it's not every image has to be. Yeah. Okay, so we'll just put this in as a background image. URL. And what's our path here? So we're just going to go up to images, and we'll just put in our Scenic hero. And then we'll say background. Background side, well, we'll do background repeat, no repeat. Gosh, I haven't done this in ages. No repeat. Background size is going to be cover. There we go. Okay, now we have to do background position. Is it background? What is it? Background position is fixed, right? Is that right? No, that's not right. What is it? Size, clip, position, attachment. Is it attachment? There it is. Okay, so here's our fake parallax right here. Here's our fake parallax. Oh, I think you are responding to my deep desire to not want to put inline images in the styles. So let's just Google. I did Google this earlier this week. So how to let's do all CSS parallax. Okay. A pure CSS parallax effect can be achieved using the CSS properties perspective, transform style, and transform translateZ. This method creates the illusion of depth by making background elements move at a different speed than foreground elements when a user scrolls. The core technique relies on manipulating the z-axis or the depth of the elements. Yeah, I don't think overflow I've definitely used. I don't think I've ever used perspective, transform style, translateZ. We've just used scale, so we know how to do that. We know about overflow. Okay, perspective applied to a parent container, often a wrapper around the entire page content. This property defines a fixed 3D viewing region and sets the camera's perspective. A smaller view creates a more dramatic parallax effect. Transform style preserve 3D. Applied to the container and possibly section elements, this ensures that child elements are positioned and rendered in the 3D space. Overflow, also on the parent container. Transform, translateZ, applied to the individual layers, background images via after pseudo-elements. This property pushes the elements further away, negative Z value. Elements moved further away will scroll slower relative to those closer to the viewport. Okay, that is interesting. That's how they're controlling the scroll speed, by using translateZ to move something further away. Okay, scale. As elements moved further away, negative translateZ appear smaller, a corresponding scale transformation is needed to make them appear at their original size. Okay. The HTML typically involves a main wrapper and layered sections. And it is doing and they are using background images. The HTML typically involves a main wrapper and layered sections. The basic CSS for the effect would look like this. So the main wrapper, this would be our main section. You have to have height 100, viewport height. Overflow X is hidden. Overflow Y is auto. Perspective 2 pixels. Sets the 3D perspective. We'll go ahead and put this on the main element, but I hope that doesn't like screw up our page. Okay. And then we have a section element already. So the section element will be position relative, height 100, viewport height, transform style inherit. Okay. And then parallax after. So the section parallax pseudo element and then you add the background image to the pseudo element, not to the section. Okay, well let's try this and see what happens. So this, we'll take this out. And I'm going to take this out. So we have to add this to our main element. Well, we'll see how it goes. Right here. Doesn't matter that we have this. We'll find out. And then here is our section right here. Let's get back down to our So this is our section. One moment. Okay. So I don't want this to be 100 VH, but for the purposes of following instructions, we're going to go ahead and do this. And then this all goes on as a pseudo element. We can actually just copy that. And then this is our background right here. This could be inset 0, but we'll just leave that. What's happening? I feel like we have to have pushes background behind the content. Let's put a div around this section instead of putting that stuff there. I feel like that's maybe part of the problem. Parallax wrapper. There's something happening here. I think this is still like way too big. It's like scrolling inside. Overflow X hidden, overflow Y auto, perspective. Oh, hang on. Maybe this background attachment is the problem. It doesn't really work, does it? I might need to, you know what I would love to do is I would love to, there's some tutorials here like all CSS Parallax, but I don't want to watch those during the stream because, you know, I don't have permission from these creators to watch their tutorials. So, oh, and Kevin Powell has true parallax with CSS only is now possible. It might be, let me see here. Okay, so dev community, pure CSS parallax perspective beyond landscape images. Let's see here. Yeah, you can kind of see there. Okay. It might be better for me to do a little bit offline. 37, amazing. Parallax effect with only CSS. Oof. No, this is like okay, let's see what he's got here. So in this example, they're putting the background on the body. And then the transform style is also on the wrapper. Yeah, because this is transform style inherit, but inherit from what? Should that also be on the wrapper? Is this a mistake? How to create a parallax scrolling effect with pure CSS. Let's see what this one. Oh, look, this is like an official DigitalOcean tutorial. We love DigitalOcean. Does this look familiar? I really want to watch the tutorial, the Kevin Powell tutorial. Yeah, you can see there the scroll speed is, am I missing something? I don't think we have that. This is just scrolling inside. Is it because I changed this? Yeah, now it's just repeating. Okay, well, I think that I need to watch one of those tutorials offline. About to get ready for my meeting. I don't think I will be back before the stream ends. I hope it goes well. Good work as usual. Thank you. Good luck in your meeting. Enjoy your meeting. Enjoy your team meeting. They were always my favorite part of being a developer. What am I missing? What am I missing? I did exactly what it told me to do. Okay, let's keep going here. What is static? What is the static? Where's the markup? Oh, the static is this right here. Did I miss this part? Static. Okay, my content is inside the section. And there are no styles, so I did miss something here. So let's take this out. So you have to have two layers. Okay. And also, these would be divs. Whoops. Take that out. They're divs, not sections. Because they don't have a heading. But this does have a heading, so this would be a section. Not that that matters for the parallax, but we do want to be semantic. Okay, so here's parallax 1, here's parallax 2. And we can use the same image for both. And then this is the content here. I think we need these. What's going on here? parallax content. So we've got the parallax wrapper. We have each parallax section. We have parallax after. This is where our images are. And are those in the background? They are in the background. Okay. So this right here is what we're trying to get to scroll over top. I feel like we're so close. Here's the parallax wrapper. Parallax. Parallax. And then there's the section. Oh. Okay. So our wrapper is height 100, overflow, and perspective. Yep. Okay. Position, relative, height 100, VH, yes. Okay, yes. And then static just has a background of red. It's possible to put the image you use or the parallax effect further away so they move more slowly. You'll have to change the pixel amount on perspective and the transform properties. If you don't want a background image to scroll at all, use background attachment fixed instead of okay. So I have to take that out. What am I missing? We're so close. So we'll just say background color. I'm just going to make it blue. And we'll say color white just to give us some contrast. Well, the whole point of this is that we're experimenting, right? See, this should be these both say, well, they're both position relative. These are absolute. I feel like I'm missing something here. Let's go back up to the top here. Okay, so we have our 3 sections. Oh, does this need... So what's the section? Position. They all need position relative, height 100 VH. Okay. Which is this. They all need that. Got it? Okay. So we can go back here and say section. And so really we would want to say that this is, let's say we'll do this. So we've got the wrapper, we have the section parallax, and we have the section parallax content. I don't care about this. This is just organizing the content inside. I don't care about that. Oops. Did I not save? I didn't save. Yeah, they're still not scrolling at different speeds, are they? So we're close. We're so close. Let's change the height of these to like 30. And then let's make sure that, so this I think should actually be a little bigger. There we go. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. Now we just need to get these to scroll at different speeds. We're just not getting the foreground, background. And this was just, they did background, I think they just did background position, right? Sets the 3D perspective. Overflow Y is auto, allows scrolling within the 3D space. Yep, background, oh, background size 100. I'm not sure if that matters. Moves the element back and scales it up to appear at original size. We don't need this. Sets the 3D perspective. allows scrolling within the 3D space. Yeah, I can kind of see why they put this on the main wrapper. That makes sense to me now, but I still think that we should be able to see these scrolling at different speeds, which we're not. So here's the wrapper. I mean, if I just make this 100. Maybe. I might have screwed this up. Yeah, we're not seeing them scroll at different speeds, are we? We also need to do we have to do a background repeat on. No repeat. Oh. I don't know. I think I need to watch a tutorial, but I don't want to play one during a stream. So we're pretty close, right? Yeah, and this could be cover. This doesn't need to be 100%. There we go. It's weird. Did I miss anything? translateZ -1 pixel, scale 1.5. First, add a solid background to the static section with the following code after the parallax after class. Okay, we did that. And then we've got background 1 after, background 2 after. Those are fine. The images are from PlaceKit and OK. The Parallax class adds an after pseudo element to the background image and provides the transforms needed for the parallax effect. The pseudo element is the last child of the element within the class. The first half of the code displays and positions the pseudo element. The transform property moves the pseudo element back away from the camera on the z-index, then scales it back up to fill the viewport. Because the pseudo element is further away, it appears to move more slowly. In the next step, you will add in the background images and static background style. In this step, you will add styles to the section class. Position relative, height 100 VH. I don't care about the display flex because that is just to control the content inside the container. Talk to me about perspective. Okay. Wrapper. height 100 VH, overflow X hidden, got it, overflow Y auto, perspective 2 pixels. The wrapper class sets the perspective and scroll properties for the whole page. Yeah, it kind of makes me feel like that does need to be on the main now, right? Yeah, I feel like I kind of do feel like now that needs to be on the main. That makes sense now that we have everything else figured out. Yeah, but then look what happens. And we still don't have the effect. Is it because... See, do I need position relative? I mean, does that matter? Yeah, I think I need to watch a tutorial on how to do this. I do want to watch that Kevin Powell tutorial. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to watch the Kevin Powell tutorial, and I will show you the correct code on Saturday when we come back and finish this. I basically got done what I wanted to get done today, which is to kind of fix up the home page, make these sections linkable. So now if we click this, it links automatically to our blog page. So let's fix this image for the blog page. Let's see here. So this is overflow hidden. And let's actually pull up our CSS for our index.html for the blog page. So I have animated, fade in up on the image. That needs to be on the figure, except, so we're just going to move a couple things around. The reason I have that on the image is because we have overflow hidden on the figure. The reason we have overflow hidden on the figure is because of the border radius. So probably the best way to deal with that is to just do a border radius on the image itself. And then I think we can probably take off the overflow hidden there. Is that going to work? So we have our, there we go. Perfect. Good solution. Exactly the right solution. Okay. That's it. Kind of a short day. That's okay. Yeah. I'll figure out the parallax thing. I'll tell you what the correct code is on Saturday when we come back. And then Saturday we'll do those sharing links. And then Sunday we will have a deployment day. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the algorithm, helps me push this out to more people who might enjoy this type of content. And yeah, appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. And I will see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.